This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, hello everyone. Very good morning to all. In the last session, we discussed about form handling, but we didn't validate the form and we didn't post the data to server. Right? Let us go there. And the basic form too. This is the file we are working, right? So what we did in the last session, so we just created a form. Did we validate it? So is this is our file? It's not our file. 1 minute. So our folder is 8am folder, right? Okay. Actually, the same concept was discussed yesterday in the classroom session. Now we will see the same in online session also. The validations, the form validations and all, right? So we need to take this now. Once the user submitted, we have to collect the data and we have to post the data to server. Let us see how we can post the data to server. First of all, when we are submitting the button, we are firing a function on submit is equal to submit handler. In this submit handler function, what I want to do, where is our function submit handler? This is the function where we are just preventing the default action and we are writing a message posting data to server and we are printing the data which we selected in the okay. So let me go and execute the file localhost colon 3000. Okay, so let us make something like this, right? Whatever the data we entered here, the data we are able to see in the console, right? So you can go and check this. Once you submitted the data, we can get some message, right? So I'm going to take some information here, right, and submit this. And we can see posting data to server, and in the console, we printed the data, whatever the data we added there, the data we printed. Now, without entering any data in the form, we have to validate the form and we have to send the data to server. Now, so what we need to do here, before sending data to server, I want to validate if the form is valid, send the data to server, otherwise display validation messages. So here in this function, I'm going, this is the success block. Here we have to post data to server. If you have anything errors, if you have anything that errors messages, we have to stop the form and we have to display the error messages. So what is the condition I want right here? Nothing. I'm just writing one function here, validate form. I'm writing one function with a name called validate form. What this function needs to do, on submit the function, this validate form should verify all the form fields entered with the data or not. Otherwise, we have to go to the error message. If this is valid, data will be posted to server. If this is not valid, and I mean, if any one of the field is missed in the form, I don't want to allow you, right? So now what I'm going to do, we have to create this function, this dot validate form function. Let us create the function and let me write some validation here. So this is what exactly. This function will return a value for us. So return true or false. When return true, when return false. If all the form fields, required form fields are mandatory and required, they have to mandatory in the sense all the mandatory fields if we can fill, then it should return true. If any of the mandatory field is missed, then we have to return false. So what I will do, let me take one small variable here, let is valid or form status or whatever it may be initially true. Then here I'm going to write return is valid. So now what is going to be happen, we are returning is valid. So in the middle, what we will do, we have to verify each and every text field is entered with some values or not. If not entered, and we have to do something. Let us do one thing. I'm going to write, first of all, let me get the errors from the state object. So did you define errors here? No. So okay, I defined, but let me take this as an object, not an array. So to this object, we can push the values of the form. So if the form field is empty, error message should be updated into the state errors. If the form field is not empty, we have to remove the error message from uh, the state. So now what I am going to do here, let us get the state also. Let us get the state is equal to this dot. Oh, what I want to get here. I think we can write directly. Okay, I'm writing a small condition. Okay, let me get the errors also here. Let errors is equal to this dot state dot errors also. Let me get it. Okay, these are the, I don't want to write every time this dot state dot error. That's why I'm taking this into one variable. That variable we can reuse every time. Now let me write one condition. If username is empty, display the error message. Now what I'm doing here, this dot state dot username equal to empty. If you didn't enter anything, now what I want to do, errors errors dot username, the same key name is equal to, I'm writing some message called username required, required, username required. This is a message we will display. If this is not empty, then what we can do, error dot username should going to be else block. In the else block we can write username, I mean if you enter the value, okay, otherwise we can write something like this. We don't want to display the error message there, it should be go. But here if it is not entered, it is going to be is valid equal to false. That's all. If you didn't enter any value in the text box, I'm updating the error message. After that it has to go to the server. So like this we can update the errors also at the end of the page. Let me do one thing. Before returning true or false, this dot set state. In this we can update the errors, error ors errors. That's all. So because of writing this, error message will be updated. So now you can check this. Just I'm working on with one field only, I'm not working on all the fields. Try to see the output. Now how can we handle the error? I'm not entering any value here, so I'm not entering any value in the username field. If we can submit, where are you going? Are we going anywhere? No, we are not getting any message in the console also. Let me enter some value here, test, and if you can submit, now you can see you got the message and you got the message like in the console also. Without entering any value, are you going anywhere? No, I'm submitting the form. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere because we are setting written false, right? So written false means what is going to be happening here? Actually, this validate form method is verifying the username. If the username value is empty, we are setting error message and we are stopping the execution. What is a written false? How to stop execution? JavaScript, script execution in JavaScript by using written false. We can stop the script execution in JavaScript. That's why we are writing finally return true means the script execution will be continued. If you entered the value, is valid value is true. True means form will be submitted. So now what I want to do here, in the else block, we want to display the error message. This dot set state. In this, I'm going to take errors. This dot state dot errors. Just I'm getting the errors like this. In the else block, I'm updating the error state. Now you can come here and you can print the message here. So in the form, we have to display the error message. Username field is required, something like this. We have to display the error message. I'm taking a small condition. This dot state dot errors. We are pushing errors dot username. Errors dot username. If username is there, I'm taking a small tag here. In the small tag, I will display the message. The same message. Otherwise, it is going to be null. I'm going to display this as a null. Let us write the same message inside of it also. If it is not empty, error message will be displayed in the small tag. Otherwise, it is going to be right. Now you can check this. The error message should be displayed just under the form field. Here I have error. It's not semicolon. It should be comma. Go there. Where is this? here, I believe, right? So you cannot use semicolon here. Actually, object, right? Object values are separated by comma. So now we can go and refresh the page. Now I'm submitting without entering any value. We are getting a message. We're getting a message. Now you can write something called test. I added the value test. Now if you can submit again, data is posted to server. It is posting data to server. Like this, it went to server. So like this, we have to apply the same for each and every field. Okay, let me do one more validation here. I'm just going to do other field validation also. This is username validation is completed. Now I'm going to write if this dot state dot email equal to empty. If this is email is empty, same story again. I'm copy pasting it here. Now you can check this. Right. So this is going to be the key email. So you can write the label also email required. Email required is valid false. Okay. For example, you entered the value, but the entered value is valid or not. We have to check it, right? For this, what I will do, we will use regular expressions in JavaScript, right? The same concept. We can use it here. Now you can just go here. What we can use exactly the regular expressions. Uh, in the last session I written, let me copy that code from here. 1 minute. The regular expression, the function to validate the form. So I have a small function. In that function I written a regular expression like the same JavaScript regular expression, and nothing difference is there. The same we copied actually that too also, but let me copy that regular expression and let me show you here. This is the basic form 2, I believe yesterday we created. Okay, let me open the file. Here I have a regular expression function. This is the function I have here. This function we can define into our file. The same function I'm going to take just below the render or above the render, wherever you want, you can take it. This is the render function. Sorry, is valid email is a function. This function, whatever the email we are entering to this function, it will verify and it will return true. If if that is valid email, that will return true. So then what I want to do here, this is the function we have, and in the else block I'm writing one more condition. If this dot is valid email, in this we have to pass the email you entered. This dot state dot email, this is the email you entered. If this is not valid, so not valid, I'm writing not operator here. It is not valid, then update the error message. If it is valid, we don't want to update anything. So now I'm going to write something called email valid email required. Let us write one label called valid email required and written false. Otherwise it is going to be written true. Okay, so this is how we can validate the field. I think the same logic you can apply for the remaining fields also. Nothing difference is there. And you have checkboxes, right? So for the checkboxes, multiple checkboxes, we are pushing them into an array based on the length. At least one hobby selected, one hobby in the array. I mean, you selected one hobby. That's the meaning. At least one thing should be there. If no one is there in that hobbies array, I think you didn't select anything. So for this also, let me write a small logic. If this dot state dot hobbies dot length less than or equal to 0. I mean, if it is a 0, I mean, if you didn't select anything, I have to display the error message. If you selected at least one, anyhow, condition will be false now. So automatically, this is not going to be executed. So then what I want to do here, let us push the message, same message here. I'm going to take the same errors.hobbies, HOBBIES hobbies. Please select at least one hobby. Please select at least one hobby. Okay, something like I added. So anyhow, this is the messages we are displaying, but these messages you have to display on the screen, email message as well as the hobbies message. Then what you can do, copy the same here, whatever the message for displaying errors you prepared here, just I'm copying the same. This dot state dot email. If email error is there in the error object, display it. Otherwise null. For the same like hobbies also, where is the hobbies? This is the hobbies too. In this hobbies div also, if hobbies message is pushed into the object, then hobbies message will be displayed. HOBBI, yes, hobbies. If we can submit all the error messages, we can see at a time. So hobbies error message as well as something like. Now if we can see, please select at least one hobby, email is required, as well as this is also required. Now I'm entering something called test. You can enter test at mail.com and you can select some hobby and you can proceed to checkout. Now you can see all the fields you entered, right? That's why the data is submitted to server. So this is how we can work with the things only, right? So just check this, how the data will be posted to server. Just I'm not doing all the validation. I think you can copy paste for remaining fields also, right? This is one. Now what we need to do, let us collect the data and let me post the data to server. Now I'm going to my once you submitted, if everything is valid, what this is form valid, what is validate form is doing, it is verifying the required fields. If it is valid, return true. If any of the field is missed, empty, then it is setting the error message and we are stopping the execution. Return false will stop the script execution. If no field is entered, what this function will do, it will return false. Return false means it will stop the execution. So that's the reason here we're writing, if it is written false, automatically else block will executed now. So if this function is written true, this will be executed. If this function is written false, this is going to be executed. What is written false here? I mean, what this function is doing here, that is verifying. If the data is entered, written true, not entered, written false. Okay. Now here, what I want to do, let me collect the data. Let well, I'm preparing the data. Actually, the entire state object we don't want to send. In the state object, we have different fields are there. Actually, I don't want to send them to server, the different fields, whatever we are having in the state object. I just want to prepare the information which we require to send the data. So I'm taking the same keys there. Or remember, while preparing this data variable, you can take any keys here, no problem. So whatever the values you have in the whatever the keys you take in the state object, you don't need to take the same. But actually, these two values we don't want to send it to server. Errors also we don't want to send to server. We want to send hobbies, gender, TNC, as well as username and email and state, user state. These things only we have to send to server. 6 values we have to send to server. So but these state, hobbies, and errors, later we will take some messages also, like error message, and we will take something called success message. These values are not required to send to server. Actually, I'm going to take something called success msg, right? Only some fields are required to send to server, but these all are not required to send to server, as well as these are all not required to send to server. Only 6 fields from the state object. So some people, what they will do, they will directly push the state object into the Axios post request, but that is not good idea. So whatever the data we want to push, let us push the data. That's the reason I'm preparing something. Username, let us prepare this dot state dot username. I am getting the data like this, and email, mobile, something like this. This is going to be email. This is going to be gender, gender, gender. This is going to be hobbies, tnc, hobbies, hobbies. This is going to be tnc, and finally I think address, I believe address, address, or address is there or any other. Okay, we don't have address, I believe. We have user state. Kada? User state, only state you can send it. So in place of it, I'm taking user state. Okay, you can write this as a user state. You can write this as a TNC. The same keys you can take. If you don't want, you can change the keys also, your choice completely. Hobbies and gender. Gender, gender. Why I'm preparing this object here? This is an object, data object we are preparing. Whatever the data you have entered in the form, we know that usually saved in the state object. From the state object, I'm collecting the data. I'm preparing an object. Now, this is the object we need to send to server, right? Let us go there. Now, what I'm going to do here, we know Axios. By using this Axios dot post method, we can send the data to server, right? So first of all, if you want to work with Axios, Axios should be imported now. Go to the top of the page, import Axios. I want to import AXIOS from Axios. Axios from Axios. Once this is imported, then what we can do, we can use this endpoint URL, post request endpoint URL comma this data. This is the object you just prepared, right? This object we can post data to server dot then dot catch. The same like get, but get having one parameter in the get method and post having two parameters in the thing. Here we have to pass the endpoint URL, then a callback function with response object response response. Here also callback function with the error object. This will holds the error information. Response holds the response information which is coming from the server. Let us log the message console.log response response response. And here I'm just going to log this console.log error object I'm printing. That's all. So now we have to pass the endpoint URL. I have small URL. This will just give me the response only. http://tuto. Just you can post the data. It will give the response. tutoslog.com/user.php. This is the file I have with me. Whatever the data you can send to it, it is sending you success. Actually, it will give you error also, but I need to check this, but that's not work in the last session, but I will check and I will let you know whatever the data we are posting to the sun, right? Actually, the data you have, this is a JavaScript object. We have to transfer the JavaScript object into JSON.stringify. We have to convert that into the data. Exactly how to do. We are converting the JSON object, sorry, JavaScript object into a JSON string format. I told you, right? Anybody wants to send some data from one technology to other technology, definitely we have to use JSON.stringify that will convert the data into something like this. Okay. Anyhow, the data will be go. Now this is the URL. Let me check this. What is going to be happen in the form? Now I'm going to enter something called test@mail.com, some dummy information. So you can select some fields here. Now you can check this, register. See, you will get some time. So it is taking some time to post the data to server. We are getting this something, right? So this is the status success we are getting from the server. So what I want to do here, I need to write a small condition. Response we are getting. Response object I am getting. From this we can see the response from the data object. So if response.data, this is the thing you will get from the server. In the last session also, do you remember when we are fetching data from the endpoint URL, that you will get the response object like this. Actually the response object will come. Okay, where is this response object? It was cleared up, right? No worries. The response object will come to you as an object, right? So this is the data. In this we have something called status equal to success. SUCCS success. If this is, if you got success message from the server, right? So the form created successfully. Otherwise, I mean, we can do anything. Let us do one thing. This dot set state. This is set state. I want to define the success message. Already you define the success message now. Success message is equal to, I'm writing ACCOUNT, account created successfully. I defined the message. Do you remember? For holding the success message, I have defined something in the state. Can you see? In the state object, we have error message, we have success message. Okay, if I have any error in this, so while processing this, it will become into this. Let us define this dot set state error message also. Here you can go for ERRMSG, error message. This is the message. Sorry, something went wrong. Sorry, something went wrong. So this is the success, this is the error message. If we have any error, we will update the error message here. This message we have to display on the screen, right? Let me do one thing. So go to your JSX. In the JSX, I want to, this is above the form. Where is my form? This is my form. Oh, we are inside the form. I think it's better to take one div extra here. One div. So because I just want to write the error message just above the form, Okay, here you can close the closing div, right? We know that every element in the React, they should be in a one parent. So this is the message div. Here I want to take the JSX. This dot state dot success message is defined. We can display the success message. Otherwise, it is going to be null. In the same manner for error message also, guys, here. So what is the error message? You can take this as a error message. If you have error message in the state, that should be displayed. If you have success message in the state, that should be displayed. So I'm just copying the same to print this into the paragraph tag. If it is defined, display the success message. If it is not defined, display something into the thing. Okay, this is what exactly we can do. Right, so now you can check this. I'm posting data to server, test some information at the rate mail.com. We can enter some data, selected, and you can submit. We can see on the screen, we are getting a message account created successfully. So after that, we have to clean the form data also. To clean the form data, once you got the success message, I have a small thing here. Where is our submitting? This is the place, right? So you can simply write, lot of ways are there. E dot target target dot reset. We can write like this also, or else you can write document dot get element by id dot reset also we can write, or else current form. E dot target means current element dot reset. What is the current element? Submit button is your setting on the form, right? So e dot target dot reset also we can write. Even if you have error message also, the same reset function should work there. I mean, I have to clean up the form data once it is submitted to server. We don't want to see the data again in the form. You have to fill the data and you have to go there. So now I'm going to enter the data again. Now you can submit it. Now you can see the data is getting cleaned up. So, but these fields are not cleaned up. I don't know what is the reason. Maybe cache or I don't know, but I will check it. Okay. Yesterday also I seen the same, but reset in the sense everything should be get resetted. Don't know the reason. I didn't check actually in the last session also I see the same issue, but let me check and let me tell you. Okay. Right. Anyhow, this is the thing. Once you entered the data, this is went to server and we got the message something like this successfully and all. Okay, guys, this is simply we can write the logic from e.target.reset, e.target.reset. We went to server. But here in the last session also the same form I discussed, guys. Here we seen small problems here while working with the checkbox especially. What is the problem? You can see. I will show you here. The checkbox value, even if you didn't select, the checkbox value is posting to server. Let me show you that. I'm not selecting the checkbox. Okay, these checkboxes, these you can select, they will get. Now you can enter something test@mail.com. If I am not selecting this, but still the data is coming to server, let me show you here in the network tab so that you will understand why that is coming. Actually, if you didn't select, it should not come. I'm registering. Again, you are getting the message. Yes, I got the request went to server. Click this, and in the header section, we can see what type of data is went to server. In the headers, where is this header? Payload, response payload, request headers, view source. Where this we can see. Actually, we can see here. Maybe in the payload, response headers. Let me expand this. I think request header, so it is not able to see here. Payload, yeah. In the payload, you can see the data. TNC is not coming. Okay, I didn't select TNC, that's why it is not coming. User state also I didn't select, that's not coming. Okay, nice. The value is not going, but the same problem we faced yesterday. But even if you select or not select, S is going to the server actually. Let me do one thing. Let me submit one more time. I'm going to take test and test@mail.com. Let us take some state. Let me take these values also. I'm selecting. I'm also selecting. Let me submit. This time I'm submitting everything. Let me click on it. Let me go to the payload. Oh, this time I'm getting the value hobbies, and hobbies are going to be coming as an array, guys, here. But while you are sending data to server, you should convert that into a string and you have to send it. So where is this exactly? You cannot send the data directly. The hobby is going to be, do one thing. dot join. I'm converting the array into a string. I mean, all the hobbies will send to the server as a string with the hash separated. Now you can check one more time. The data is going perfectly. We don't have any problem. Right. Test at mail.com. Okay. This is something. I'm selecting 3 values here. Now you can check this. In the payload, you can see we are getting the data, username and view source. If we can go there, can you see the values? You can go to form data or view pairs data. Okay, this is the data, username, email. JSON is converted, guys, the data. Here also hobbies, can you see the hobbies are going to be, earlier it is an array, a hobbies array, but they are now converted into a string with a separator called hash, something like this. TNC is as user state is something like this. Okay, like this we are able to send all the values to the server, and finally we got the message called successfully account created, something like this, guys. So this is what exactly, uh, what is the mistake we seen yesterday. Even if I didn't select, I got yes, right? 1 minute, where is my checkbox? Our form, can you go to our form? Let me do one thing. If I check the checkbox, this is, I had set yes. Actually, if you are not entering the value, we are not getting anything. If you can enter the value, we are getting the value yes. But I want to print 1 minute, but I want to reconfirm again. Yesterday we faced the problem, but here I'm not getting that. Maybe 1 minute before posting data to server. Console.log, let me print the data. The object I'm printing, let me do return false. RETU return false will stop the execution. Ajax call won't work from there. So that's why I'm writing return false. The next step, I should not execute. Let me go and check this. This is going to be something called, okay, enter some data here. I'm not checking. I want to see data printed. Do you got TNC value? No, I'm not getting TNC value. Let me select TNC and let me submit. Okay, you are getting the TNC value. Okay, but yesterday we seen the problem. What is the problem? Even we select, if we didn't select, we are getting the value terms and conditions. Yes, we did little logic maybe right there. Okay, anyhow, this is what exactly the concept, guys. You need to check it. How to create a form, how to send the data to server, and how to validate the form. I think this is the part of, actually I need to discuss post request in the in the part of Axios. But definitely posting data, in the sense, if you can create a form and if you can do some validation and if you can do some kind of stuff here, after that we can send the data to server, it will becomes easy for us, right? So this is what the form we created for sending data to server. Here console data log is not required, just you can go with it, right? But I'm not sending the whole state object. I'm, because in the state object you're having lot of information. This is all I'm not sending. Did you see, initially we started state object with just 2 fields only, username and email, very first when I started with the form 3. Now slowly we added all the states, all the state fields. Based on our requirement we added, you also need to do the same job. So we don't know what is going to be required, what is not going to be required initially. First I started with the username and email. After that I want to add a state, that's why I added one more option called state in the state object. I want to take gender, that's why I added one more field. I want to take TNC, I have taken one more field. Like this, how many form fields you are going to add into the form, every field should be updated into the state, definitely, right? These are called controlled components. The values we are entering in the form, we have to control it by saving them into state object, right? Yes. So this is what exactly the form handling is here. I will discuss next session the concept called references, references, references in React. Okay, this we can discuss in next session. Okay, thank you guys. Then any other doubts you have, let me know.